Ing-ah, ing-ah, huh, huh. Those were speech exercises. And since these videos are on communication, it's only fitting. Hi, my name is Glenn, and I'm going to be doing a 3-part series on difficult communication situations. To tell you a little bit about myself, I'm presently wrapping up my Master's in Communication Studies at NMSU. I also hold a master's degree in Justice Administration and Public Service, and I've worked in the court systems here in New Mexico as a licensed drug and alcohol counselor. So I kind of know a little bit about difficult communication exchanges, and I'm betting that you do as well. The goal of these videos is to not just look at how others communicate, but more importantly, how are we communicating? Are we really expressing what we want to say, or are we giving knee-jerk reactions to others? In effect, letting them control us. Remember, I'm talking about communicating in difficult and uncomfortable communication exchanges. So we're going to explore how we may communicate in healthier ways, and most importantly, how we can remain true to ourselves. With that, let's begin. The first topic that I want to address is sarcasm. And of course, as we all know, sarcastic remarks are intended to mean the opposite of what the person says. Sarcasm is used to put someone down by making a seemingly humorous remark at the other person's expense. I feel that this description of sarcasm from vocabulary.com is very accurate. To mock or convey contempt. Even more intensely, the Greek root for sarcasm, sarkazian, means to tear flesh like dogs. Wow, quite an image. So if sarcasm can be so hurtful, why do we use it? Why do we use our words to hurt others when many of us know that words can hurt even more than physical bruises? And they certainly can take a lot longer to heal, if they ever heal at all. And how many of us have the emotional scars to attest to that? So again, why do we do it? Well, let's look at some of the possible reasons for why we do it. First off, according to the book Talk is Cheap, Sarcasm, Alienation, and the Evolution of Language, dog-eat-dog sarcastic commentary is just part of our quest to be cool. You're distancing yourself. You're making yourself superior. Some other reasons for sarcasm may include being passive-aggressive. We're not able to say what we really want to say to the person, maybe because of low self-esteem issues or just plain old fear. So one attempts to disguise the angry response as a joke. And if the comment is received badly, then the dispenser of the sarcasm can just excuse it away by saying something like, well, I'm only joking. I'm sure most of us have heard that one. No, I have. Another reason why someone may send sarcasm your way is simply because they just don't like you. Or they're jealous of you. Maybe you got the promotion that they wanted. Perhaps they have a grudge against you for that, and so they mask their anger with seemingly playful but punishing sarcastic jabs. And then there are those people who just simply relish their sarcastic wit because they know they are superior, smarter, and cleverer than all of the rest of us put together. And unfortunately, I've known one too many of those people. Besides being the brunt of sarcasm, another downside to dealing with sarcastic people is that it feels like you just can't win. I mean, no matter what you do. Because if you object or you say anything in your defense, you'll only be met with comments from your adversary like, "You take things too seriously," or "You're too thin-skinned," "You can't take a joke," or even a really low blow like, "I guess the truth hurts, huh?" This is not communication. This is the antithesis of communication. And it is my premise that sarcasm shuts communication down. I believe that sarcasm is abusive. It's a passive-aggressive form of abuse. And if you happen to come from an abusive background, had an abusive childhood, abusive relationships, then the sarcastic barbs sting all the more. Sigmund Freud is attributed as coining the phrase, "Depression is anger turned inward." And I think that sarcasm fits the bill as well. Sarcasm is also anger turned inward. I believe that excessively sarcastic people, they really don't like themselves. And I think that they attempt to pump themselves up by using sarcasm as a way to diminish others. And while they're doing it, they feign this sense of superiority and intellect and wittiness and this phony, "I'm just, doing it. I'm just doing it as a joke. I'm just being playful." And you know what? The truth is, people who do sarcastic remarks, they mean it. They mean what they say, and they're just thinly trying to disguise it. So like I said, they have this air of superiority and they hit you with their sarcasm, playfully hurting you. How fragile is that? How fragile is that, really? I mean, think about it. When I look at myself and when I've done that to people, I have to really do that to make myself feel better about myself. Pretty fragile, Glenn. Pretty sad. In addition, I do not believe that it takes exceptional intelligence and wit to be sarcastic, as even young children can do it effectively. Studies have shown that kids pick up the ability to detect sarcasm at a young age. That's according to Chin 2011. And a University of Calgary psychologist named Penny Pexman backs this up. Pexman said she has encountered children as young as 4 years old who say, "Smooth move, Mom," when the parent makes a mistake, when the mom makes a mistake. And she also says that parents who report being sarcastic themselves have kids who are better understanding the sarcasm. What a surprise! Sorry, I guess that sarcasm thing is a little hard to break, but I'm going to keep trying. But it really is no surprise. I mean, kids learn from their parents and they mimic their parents from the beginning, as soon as they can. I mean, after all, children, especially at that age, that early age, they see their parents as godlike beings who can do no wrong. So of course they're going to mimic them. So instead of instilling sarcasm in them, why not instill compassion? Why not instill compassion and kindness and tolerance in an attempt to foster a strong sense of self-worth and build healthy self-esteem? It's always easier to tear down than to build up. And I try to remind myself of that whenever I'm about to put some potentially damaging thoughts into words at the expense of someone else. Again, how fragile is that? So given this, does sarcasm have any value at all? Well, according to the article, The Science of Sarcasm, Yeah, Right, by Richard Chin. Wow, he even managed to fit sarcasm in the title. Anyway, Chin says, sarcasm seems to exercise the brain more than sincere statements do. Scientists who have monitored the electrical activity of the brain to test subjects exposed to sarcastic statements have found that brains have to work harder to understand sarcasm. So in a way, it's like exercising the brain, but I'd rather use Rubik's Cube. Guess I'm dating myself. Anyway, another possible attribute of sarcasm is that some language experts suggest that sarcasm is used as a sort of gentler insult, a way to tone down criticism with indirectness and humor. However, other researchers have found that the mocking, smug, superior nature of sarcasm is perceived as even more hurtful than a plain spoken criticism can be. So, what's the odds, you know? I mean, one says one thing, one says another. Is it worth it to exercise your brain at the cost of others? I don't think so. So, again, I'll ask, is there any benefit to sarcasm? Well, I feel that Professor McDonald of UNSW School of Psychology, I think she sums it up beautifully by stating, while sarcasm may be a polite version of criticism, it is a form of criticism that is usually accompanied by particular negative attitudes, such as disapproval, contempt, scorn, and ridicule. And although there may be different levels to the sarcasm, some may be lighter than others, I believe this holds true across the board. So it doesn't sound so great, does it? And on top of that, another point that I hadn't considered is that there is such a thing as self-sarcasm too. I mean, according to Sarcasm and Interactional Politics, sarcasm can be self-directed. A person reprimands herself for unacceptable behavior. I should have thought of that one, because on occasion, I've even used it on myself. On occasion? Try everyday occurrence, dummy. Wow. Now that was self-sarcasm. You might be wondering now at this point, does the use of sarcasm change depending on what part of the country you live in? Well, according to research, the answer is yes. Again, what a surprise. There appear to be regional variations in sarcasm. A study that compared college students from upstate New York with students from Memphis, Tennessee, found that the Northerners were more likely to suggest sarcastic jabs when asked to fill in the dialogue in hypothetical conversations. Additionally, Northerners also were more likely to think sarcasm was funny. Northerners also were more likely to think sarcasm was funny, which I just said that. 56% of Northerners found sarcasm humorous, while only 35% of Southerners did. So 56 to 35. And New Yorkers and male students from either location were more likely to describe themselves as sarcastic. So New York students again, and male students especially, from either location actually, the male students from either location, but New Yorkers in particular, were more likely to describe themselves as sarcastic, as if this is a good thing. New York is sarcastic? I mean, stop the presses. Well, these days it would be more like send a tweet. Just as an aside, I didn't make a mistake there when I repeated the sentence. I did that to give you an opportunity to see if you would respond sarcastically or not. So it was a test. Is that sarcasm? Okay, so what are some of the ways that we can try to react positively when we're on the receiving end of these sarcastic attacks? I used to know a therapist, and he would tell his clients, and he would tell me actually, he would say, take the high road, Glenn, when you're dealing with difficult people. And you know, that's great advice, but it's easier said than done. And I haven't had much luck with that. The problem is that, in my opinion, you have to be emotionally secure and have a healthy amount of self-esteem to do this. I grew up in an abusive situation. It was never a home. And so I don't enjoy it when people are trying to be witty at my expense. But I no longer want to do the knee-jerk reaction thing either, or respond in kind. I do not want to be controlled by the whims and actions of others, you know. I don't want to be controlled by what others say. Either good or bad, but mostly bad. I don't want to react, like I said, in kind, because that's really being controlled by them. And I've had enough of that in my life. I want to be more of the mindset of sticks and stones may break my bones, but words can never hurt me. But how do you do that? Because when you're in the heat of the moment, it's hard not to react. Sometimes it's like, I find it impossible. Perhaps the words written on the temple of Delphi, they hold a clue. The words read, "Know thyself." And I think it was like 1400 BC. Know thyself. Even then, they knew what to do. They knew better. And I believe that this is one of the keys to emotionally healthy living. The better you know yourself, your strength, your weaknesses, your limitations, and what makes you tick, the better you will be able to deal with sarcastic people, or most any other situation for that matter. Another thing that I would suggest doing is to look at the relationship. And that's key. Is it important or not? Is it an important relationship to you? Is it worth working on? Is it worth keeping? If it isn't, then why should the person's words hurt you or even bother you? I mean, the relative importance of the relationship, if we look at it that way, the relative importance of the relationship should help us in evaluating what our given response should be. It's a clue to how and if and when we should react. Additionally, I think it's very healthy to ask the person why they said what they said, and to be able to express that you were hurt by what they said. And I have not always found that easy to do. And usually I'm not able to do it, but I am working on it and getting better. And again, depending on the relationship, if it's important enough, and I want to keep it, and keep it healthy, and not foster resentments, then I really try to get at, like, why did you say that? Being vulnerable is tough and scary, but it's also very powerful. So I'm really working on all these things. And the two solutions that I would like to use are to either calmly talk about what happened, or to be able to walk away without drama, without comments, without mumbling under the breath. Just simply walk away, feeling secure in myself, feeling secure in who I am. And again, I find this easier said than done. But in my opinion, again, my opinion, it is worthwhile. It's really worthwhile pursuing this, more than worthwhile, because it's only going to add to my own sense of well-being and my mental health. And that's irreplaceable. Now, I'm not naive. I'm not naive enough to think that people are going to collectively agree to ban sarcasm and Congress will pass a law or anything. And in fact, there's sarcastic comments that do seem innocuous, like saying, "Of course it's raining," when you just washed your car. But what I am suggesting is that we monitor our sarcastic responses. We monitor what we're about to say before it comes out of our mouth. Because once it comes out of our mouth, sometimes it's too late. Sometimes those things can't be changed. Even if the person says it's okay and they say they forgive you, is still there in their mind, going on and on and on. You know, pain is, I find pain, maybe it lessens, but it never totally goes away. And certainly the memory of it doesn't leave. So I think that we should monitor our intended sarcastic responses and our comebacks as well. So not only what we say, but when we're going to come back at somebody who gives us a jab, you know, a sarcastic jab. For the potential damage it can do to them. And maybe this sounds not so altruistic, but maybe more importantly, for the potential damage it can do to ourselves. Is it worth it? I want to feel good about myself. And I think that's the bottom line. We should make sure that what we are about to say is truly what we want to say, and does not stem from ego or passive aggressiveness or mean-spiritedness. I have both instigated sarcasm or responded in kind many times in my life, and it's taken me years to come to the realization that I must rise above these petty exchanges, because I do not have anything to prove to anyone but myself. And you know, sometimes the negative comments, they do trigger us, and there's no way around that. My mother used to hurl disparaging remarks at me, and I'd take them to heart, even believing some of them. But I'm not a child anymore, and I will not allow anyone to have that kind of power over me. Respond in kind? No, I think not. Not today anyway. Today, I will take that high road, because I'd much prefer to have an upward and enlightened journey and not engage in drama-laden sarcasm. Not engage in that drama-laden arena of sarcasm. I still believe that the answer lies in knowing thyself. Know your own value and be unshakable in that value. Know your value and be unshakable in that knowledge of knowing yourself. And that's a lifelong pursuit. And it's a worthwhile one. Is it really what the other person thinks? Or is it what you know that counts? And with that, I'll end. I thank you for listening and watching. And let us, my prayer, my wish, let us be true to ourselves. Let us know ourselves. Let us be kind to ourselves. And let us be kind to others as well. Even when they're not so kind to us, let us have the power and the patience and the understanding to see where they're coming from. Thank you. Well, thanks for watching. Hope to see you at the next video, which is on conflict. Conflict. Even the word makes me shudder. So let's find out how to deal with conflict together. See you next time. Bye-bye.